Hi friends, welcome back to the channel Relocate with Kaya. I am Kaya. I provide online support via coaching and consulting with families, individuals, and employees that are moving abroad. I provide them with relocation, country-specific resources, and on our channel, Rich and I discuss our own personal journey of moving from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to beautiful, sunny South Africa with our lovely daughter, Nina. So today, Rich and I are just going to be chatting about how and why we chose the neighborhood of Parkhurst, Johannesburg to live in. And this video mainly is for people that are interested in moving to South Africa and are curious as to how you chose your neighborhood and the things that were important to you when deciding what neighborhood is going to be a good fit for you. So hopefully this information will be helpful and you'll get something out of it. Okay. Hi friends, we are back discussing why we chose, or how and why we chose the neighborhood of Parkhurst, Johannesburg.
Yeah, so there's several factors that went into that. I think some are going to be aligned with other folks. Everyone's going to have their own individual needs and wants and desires when they're moving from one area to here.
Yes.
So we're going to do a little compare and contrast between, hey, where we were in the U.S. and where we are here and how we went about making our decision. This would be great for folks that are trying to learn about the Parkhurst area or are thinking about moving and need to know some of the items that we considered when making our move. So we're going to have about 5 items. We're going to go through the list. So I'm going to pass it back over to you, kind of kick it off with number 1, which is always a big concern with city life.
Yes.
That is safety.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I'm up. Okay. No, safety. Yeah. So when Rich and I decided we were going to move to South Africa, and I don't even think we would say Johannesburg at first, we would just say we're moving to South Africa. And immediately, people had thoughts. But I think one of the bigger misconception is how unsafe it is and how dangerous it is. So obviously, prior to coming to visit, that was, something that was kind of drilled into our head. It's like, you need to be really careful. You need to be safe, this, that, and the third. Of course, we find out that hardly none of that has been our own personal experience because we are city folk and we know how to navigate living in this city. So safety was definitely key. So we just wanted to make sure that we chose a neighborhood that was fairly safe as living in a city can be. I don't think that, so the neighborhood Parkhurst is not a gated community. There are quite a few neighborhoods that are, but because this one wasn't, that wasn't a hang up for us. Like after we came to see it, it really wasn't too much of a consideration. But I do know a lot of Americans that move here prefer living in a gated community, but this is not, and we definitely feel very, very, very safe. Like, I'll let you tell the story when we first moved here and how many times you set the alarm off and how quickly they came.
Don't step on the lead there. So,
sorry.
Yeah, so while it's not a gated community, they do have a lot of the standard safety features that come along with homes in South Africa. You have the alarms, you have the walls, you have the wires, you have all of that. And there's plenty of coverage in this area from the private security companies that sort of augment what the police might do in the States.
Right.
So yes, to Kai's point, we hadn't had an alarm at our place back at home for quite a while. So it took a little bit of getting used to, especially in the morning or coming back when you're tired. It's like, oh, I forgot to hit the alarm before I opened the garage, or I opened the door and the alarm is still on. Long and short of it is they come out whenever it goes off. And
Literally.
they were very familiar with us.
Yes, they were.
They're very
Richard,
responsive.
yes. Yes. Like he literally, when the alarm would go off, they would come, and that's it. Like they would come very quickly, like literally within a couple minutes.
Yeah, someone's at the door, like
right.
Sure,
Yeah. So they would ring the doorbell, and Rich is like, "Oh, sorry, it's a mistake."
Yeah, they're checking the outside.
Yeah.
Yes. They've got a routine down. They're very good and very responsive.
Yeah, like they'll do, walk around, call us, make sure everything's okay. So yeah, so safety, because that really was, a big thing for Rich. Like, it's just us. So I felt like you were extra precautious.
Well, I mean,
when we first moved here.
Yeah, and you have to. Well, and I think we've touched on this a little bit before, but one of the main things that was in the back of my mind that was sort of gnawing at me was like, having spent so much time in Philly, like I knew it.
Right.
Like I knew I knew what it had been, I knew what it is now, and so navigating everything was no problem. Like here was brand new. So I knew what it was like to live in a city, but I didn't know the area. So that was sort of in the back of my mind, like, well, what is it like here? It turns out it's fine where we are, like we said before, like, hey, it's not everyone's experience. And there's places where it's not as safe.
Right.
Just like back home, our neighborhood, great. Tree line, close to the park. Like it's nice.
Very nice.
3 miles away.
Oh.
It's very dangerous and bad, so you can be in proximity to neighborhoods and folks can have two completely different experiences.
Completely different lives.
Like back in the States, like the walls and everything are not really a thing, but you still, living in a city, have to be aware of what you're doing.
Yes.
Like if you leave, stuff in your yard, that'll grow legs and walk away. If you are silly enough to leave your car unlocked, someone might just be on their way somewhere just pulling on the car doors. And, hey, if you leave a laptop or even change in your ashtray, like that's going to be gone. And
that's right.
There's bigger things that are going on now, like the Kia boys taking every Kia that was ever made in the city and people chopping at your catalytic converters back in Philly. But that's, part and parcel of living in the city. So, you just got to be aware and conduct yourself
accordingly. No, I mean, everything Rich said. I mean, those examples actually happened to us. We had Christmas decorations on our lawn. The teddy bear grew legs and walked away. Or
drummer bear.
That's right.
And then the other one, what was the other one? A deer?
Yeah, I think Did they take everything or just
they took the two big ones off.
Yes. So we don't have, so just to kind of give you an idea, we don't have the walls like in Philadelphia like they have here. So I mean, you're pretty much open to, there's no walls. So people can help themselves to, your items. And they did the one time for Christmas. And then, I think I've definitely left our car unlocked once or twice, and they would rummage through it and take change. Now, mind you, this is supposed to be like a safe area that we lived in. So we say all that to say is like, so regarding safety, this isn't a gated community. We love it. We feel so safe. The people here, the ADT, or the version of ADT, which is a security company in the States, they are super duper responsive. And every time we see them, they wave. Like it's, so safety definitely has not been a concern for us, knock on wood, thank goodness. But we know how to navigate living in the city. So I think you just have to be smart, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so next on our list is the neighbors. Like there's a little bit of a struggle, trying to meet neighbors when you live because these homes have walls. It can be a little difficult to get an idea of where the neighbors are, who the neighbors are.
Well, I would say that might be difficult for us. Coming from the States and the neighborhood we lived in, like you would see people, like if you're on your porch or you're walking your dog, there was a lot of, just bumping into people on the way, like taking the train to work and that sort of thing. There's a lot more opportunity for engagement. Yes. We haven't figured out yet how to navigate the quick ins and outs of most folks. So
Right.
they'll come home, park in the garage. You won't
see them.
again. Yeah.
Yes.
And the folks that are around here running usually look like they're. I'm not gonna say struggling, because that's what I look like when I'm out there, but like, they're in the middle of a workout, maybe not necessarily do more than a wave. So it's like, for us, at least in my opinion, coming from the different environment, we're
Right.
still trying to figure out the best way to connect with folks, given the new physical
Right.
dynamics of this neighborhood.
Yes. And I feel like even just the very small interactions we have with the neighbors, everyone has been very nice and saying hello. So for the most part, what we do see of the neighbors here, they are very, very friendly, very nice. And so as much as you can get to know your neighbors, being behind the wall is what I call it. The people that we have had engagements with have been really, really kind and nice. So the neighborhood for the most part is very friendly.
Yep.
Okay, Richie, you have the next one.
All right.
Location.
Oh, I thought that was a number 5.
Sorry.
Okay. Well, we can skip around a bit. There's no particular order.
There's no rules.
So when we talk about location, we're referring to that as the classical realtor real estate sense of location. Like, hey, you're close to major highways, you're
Yes.
close to transportation and restaurants and things like that. So we obviously were informed of this neighborhood and this decision largely by where Nina goes to school.
Yes.
So that's in close proximity to this area. So that kind of helped us narrow down to Parkhurst, in addition to all the other information and factors we were looking into. But that's why we love it here. Like, we're very, it feels centrally located.
Yes.
Everything is within
30 minutes, it feels
I was
like.
gonna say 20 or 25, like depending
Right.
on where we're
Where
going.
you're going.
Like, everything is close and fairly easy to get to. So that's a part of how we chose here, and we love it. And again, we try to find a lot of parallels between what we were doing in the States and here.
Yes.
Neighborhood back home was still in a city, but people call it the suburb, but it was still 20 minutes outside of downtown, and 20 minutes to other attractions in the area. So it's kind of like a parallel move from that perspective.
Yes, I think regarding the school and the distance from where we live at to Nina's school, some might say that it is quite a trek. It really isn't. It's 17 minutes if there's no traffic. But when we speak to parents at Nina's school, they're always perplexed that we live so far. So that is always funny, because it definitely is further than her school was when we lived in Philadelphia from where we lived at. I mean, we literally lived about 2 blocks away. Right, we lived very close. So it definitely did take some used to, like, getting in the car and driving Nina to school in the morning and picking her up. But we found that if she, if she has a snack going and coming, she's fine with the 17 minutes. So so it's not a big deal.
In the grand scheme of things, that's not that far. I mean, I just compare that to what I would have to do to drive to the office, which was 15 miles. Could take 45, 50 minutes.
Right.
Could take an hour and 20 minutes.
That's right.
Depending on traffic. So
that's right.
This little trek back and forth to
Nothing.
school.
So location. So, when you're looking, you definitely kind of, what Rich and I did was, we knew the school and we had to figure out what neighborhood we wanted to live in.
Around that.
Yes. With the recommendation from someone from her school, gave us multiple neighborhoods, which was so helpful. And then our friend, our good friend that lives in Philadelphia, that actually lived in Johannesburg for a couple years, suggested this neighborhood because she said it's very similar to where we were moving from. And she was at, both of them were right about that. So so location, you're definitely going to want to think about proximity to where your kid's school is, and kind of
your main commuting points. If it's work, if it's leisure activities with interests, and like a school situation for kids. So.
Yes. Okay, so next up on the list is, I feel like these should probably be reversed. But anyhow, walkability.
No particular order.
No order. Walkability, like the neighborhood that we lived in. Again, this is comparing to where we came from in Philadelphia. It, like Rich mentioned, it was a suburb of the city, and it was a lot of green space and a lot of trees, and just a very walkable neighborhood. Like Rich, we had a dog that's not with us. He's still in Philadelphia. But yeah, like you would go for going for walks with dogs. It was just a very scenic, pretty neighborhood. So I think that was important to you.
Yeah, because particularly during the pandemic, like getting out and walking was, our escape or whatever. So it's very walkable, very, beautiful neighborhood. If you wanted to go a little farther, there's a huge park, the Wissahickon Park in Pennsylvania. So that was a good place to go to walk. But that was a huge part of what we did. Nina would, join me every evening, go out and walk the dog. And as she got older, she would, walk more herself or bring like a scooter or a bike or her own little dog behind her, rolling along. So that was part of what me in particular, what I wanted to kind of keep that activity going when we got here. So having a neighborhood that was safe and walkable was a huge factor that I was interested in. We accomplished that.
We did.
It is safe and walkable.
Yes.
I wasn't quite aware of how hilly it is. So there's hills whichever way you're going. And that, in my opinion, has stunted Nina's willingness to take out any wheeled vehicle.
That's right.
The scooter, the bike. She's, she'll lose interest pretty quickly on the hills, but we're trying to get a little better with that.
Yes.
But getting out and walking around here is great.
Yes, no, it's beautiful. Like she's all right with going down the hills. It's just the going up. She's definitely not a huge fan of, like a mama. So that was so nice that we don't go for as many walks as we should. We usually do. It's just us because Nina's really not interested. But at the moment. So walkability. And I guess the last thing on the list is restaurants, because again, like the neighborhood that we moved from in Philadelphia, there was their version of a downtown in a small neighborhood that had, just not enough
local shops,
but a few, like a few restaurants and some local shops. So when we decided where we wanted to move, we definitely wanted to be close to those things, and walkability would have been fantastic. I don't know if it would have been a deciding factor if we didn't live so close to restaurants and things, but it's so nice being so, we're very close, maybe a little too close, but it's so nice just being able to if you don't feel like making dinner, which is me a lot of the times, it's just nice to be able to go to the restaurants and then for dinner or for lunch. And because Rich and I, both of us work in the evening, it's nice to kind of have our afternoons open. So a lot of times we'll walk over for breakfast or for lunch. So being that close to restaurants on 4th Avenue is amazing.
Yeah, just having that central place to go, and we do like to go out to restaurants and stuff. So it may not have been a deciding factor.
Right.
Like we didn't have to be like a stone's throw from it, but just having something in the vicinity that would be available to us within 5 or 10 minutes is definitely something that we were interested in doing.
So like if we would have moved to a gated community, we would hoping that they would have either like a clubhouse or just some sort of shopping center close by. And we quite honestly didn't check out many of those communities that are farther out from Johannesburg itself. That's right. Full disclosure, we did not.
Well, just thinking about what it was like back home, it's like, oh man, I don't want to live in one of these developments way out, and you got to drive like 45 whatever minutes just to get
to the city
somewhere, or just not having one restaurant. It's again, it depends on what you are interested in. Like we always knew we wanted to live in the city, like that. We just knew that, so that for us, we were just coming with a city mindset. It's like, okay, we kind of want to be close to everything. We want to be centrally located, close to Nina's school, like all those things. So that's how we decided. Those were our top 5 things in no particular order.
Order. That's right, exactly. Safety, friendly neighbors, location, close to restaurants, and walkability. Like we literally we were so lucky. We were so lucky because all the things that were important to us, this neighborhood definitely offers. So
and it's no, whatever's right for you, whatever those factors are,
Yeah.
for you when you're deciding for, to pick a neighborhood, those are what you want to write down, and try to get as much information as you can about the area.
Yes.
Before you move. Like we were fortunate
yeah.
enough to have this area referred to us by a couple people here.
Yes.
And someone, in the States who used to live here.
Right.
And we visited a couple times,
Yep.
did a couple scouting missions.
Yes.
So, again, we're renting.
Yeah.
So we didn't make a permanent move.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Again, just wanted to make sure that, hey, this is actually what we think it is and it's
That's
going to
right.
work for us.
Yes.
So just kind of keep your options open.
Yes.
There as well.
Yeah, and
flexibility is key. So.
Exactly. And I think just to share again with people that are considering to move, they do 6-month leases. So you absolutely do not have to commit to a year, which is nice because Rich and I, we just didn't, for Nina's sake, we didn't want to do too much moving around. So we knew we were going to be at this particular rental for a year.
Months,
yeah, for 12 months. But yeah, you definitely, I wouldn't, purchasing, I think would be a little scary without, having a full understanding of the lay of the land.
Yeah.
But people do it, which, I get.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, at least for us.
Right.
Let's get there. Let's figure it out.
Right.
Let's see if it fits.
That's right.
A little bit of me, what do we call it, buyer's remorse or FUMO. Like, I didn't want to let's pick
yeah.
here and then get here and be
Yes.
like, wow, there's 4 other great areas
right.
that you could have
Yes.
moved in. And I'm like,
Yes.
now we're stuck. But,
Yeah, right, exactly. Like, yes, yeah, like, because we, love it here. And I can't imagine, living somewhere else. But there are times like, oh, I wonder if it's, other neighborhoods closer to our school
I'm sure there are. Like, I
Yes.
still think we just don't know enough about enough of
Right,
the area to
right.
kind of definitively say there's no other place or, that we would, enjoy or fit in.
Right.
For folks in the States, the one thing you got to watch out for is over here, they function more on like a 30-day window for availability and
yes.
like when you're signing stuff. Whereas
Yeah.
in the States,
A couple months, 60 days.
60 days, 90,
Right.
they're slipping
Right.
around at 90 days.
Right.
So it's like that
Yes.
window of like when you're committing to something is a
Yeah.
lot longer
Right, in the
in
States.
the States versus here.
Yeah, because they want you to get in there right away. They don't,
Which
they
is
don't.
fine.
Yes,
but
no, I
it's
get
just
it.
kind of hard coming from someplace
somewhere
that's,
else. Yes, that
wanting
was-
a different time window. You're like, how are we gonna level all this off? And
Exactly.
make it work?
Exactly. Yeah. So these are just things to think about. My future fellow expats, or yes, if you just have questions and just wanted to know the process, that's kind of what we did. So hopefully this was helpful. And I think that's pretty much it.
That's
Yes.
it.
Well, thanks again for watching, you guys. We really appreciate it. Please feel free to leave a comment or even a like. And I hope that, you were able to get something from out of this. And we will see you guys next Tuesday.